Good night, Barbados Labour Party family. Good night, St. Peter. I bring you greetings from St. Andrew. You know, driving in here tonight, I came through Speightstown, I came through my old stomping ground as a past student of the Alexandra School. I spent many a day right here in Speightstown. On many occasions, when I should have been in school, in class, I was out here in Speightstown having a good time. So Speightstown is special to me. Coming down here reminds me of a time, a happier time in my life when I was a young man without a care in the world. When I was a young man who didn't have the responsibility of a constituency on my shoulder. When I was a young man who was not part of a team that has the responsibility of running a government in trying times, in difficult times, in changing times, in hard times. When I was a young man just living life, joking around, and being a clown. Some people, for some reason, is seeing this thing as a joke. And they're all about St. Peter, joking around, clowning around. Anyone who would look at them or listen to them, they put in a camera in front of their face and making a spectacle out of themselves. That is what the other side has to offer. But I did not come down here tonight to reminisce only. I did not come down here tonight to discuss the other side. I came down here tonight with one mission, a simple message, and that is to steer the course. But I have to remind you, sometimes you have to be reminded as to why you should steer the course. Sometimes you have to be reminded as to why you should trust the process. And when I think on it, and I reflect back 7.5 years when we took the reins of government here in this country, I can only conclude that we were dealt a difficult hand. This Mia Motley-led administration was dealt a difficult hand, a hard hand. But you know what? We played it. And we played it as best as any government can be expected to play. But sometimes we forget. So I'm here tonight to remind you of just some of the times that we have been through. Some of the things that we face frontally. And some of the things that we've overcome to the point that sometimes we forget that we've been through these things. Very quickly, shortly after we took reign, maybe a year and a half later, this country was hit by COVID. Does anybody remember COVID? Do you remember the hard times of COVID? Do you remember the times when you could not step foot outside your door? Do you remember the times of social distancing? Do you remember? But those were just the social impact of COVID. What was even worse was that particular pandemic, that global pandemic, caused this country's economy to grind to a halt. Our airport was closed. Flights were grounded. Our tourism industry that this country depended on grounded to a halt. Our economy grounded to a halt. Do you remember that? And what was the effect of that? Hotels closed. Some never reopened again. Restaurants closed. Small businesses closed. Shops closed. People were unemployed. Construction ceased. Everything in this country halted. And this government was faced with a situation that no other government had to deal with in almost 100 years. We were faced with a situation where we had to think every day, how are we going to feed our people? How are we going to pay our bills? We remember what this country said, what this government said, what our Minister of Health at the time said. Anyone remember? No retreat, no surrender. And we have never retreated since. We have never surrendered since. We made some hard decisions back then because we never promised you that it was going to be easy. And ever since then, we've been making hard decisions just to ensure that this country survive. And not only survive, but thrive. Because despite the fact that our tourism industry ground to a halt back then during COVID, and despite the fact that no flights were flying in, nothing was flying out, people were stranded abroad, people were stranded here. Hotel workers were home unemployed. Restaurant workers were home unemployed. I heard the Minister of Tourism say tonight that right now we have so many tourists in this country, we're not even sure if we can find rooms for all of them. This country has made an astonishing comeback under the leadership of Mia Moore Motley, under the leadership of the Barbados Labour Party. And that is why leadership matters. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. Leadership matters. And that was not the only hardship that we faced. Very quickly after COVID, in fact, COVID was not even in the rearview mirror yet. Then we saw the ash fall. That was in April. I believe the volcano would have erupted around the 11th, and by the 13th, this whole country was blanketed in ash. Something that many Bajans never experienced in over, by that time, probably about around 40 years or so. We didn't know what to do. Many of us who are my age group would have never seen anything like that. But this country did not surrender. This country did not retreat. This government did not retreat. We responded. And we turned a negative into a positive. So many young people got work with the SSA cleaning that ash. Young men all over, young women all over the place work. We turned a negative into a positive. And that's just one of the things that we would have had to grapple with. And then quickly after that, we had the freak storm. I remember the freak storm because St. Andrew was impacted heavily by the freak storm. In fact, we were impacted more by the freak storm than the actual hurricane that came 2 weeks later. Most of the destruction that we saw back then in St. Andrew was as a direct result of the freak storm. We lost some houses during the hurricane as well, but the freak storm really mashed us up. But in quick time, this government put things in place, and we saw a building boom in the Scotland district. We saw, in my constituency alone, about 17 houses that were destroyed were quickly rebuilt. Houses that weren't built to withstand any kind of hurricane. We saw efforts being made to build houses that could better withstand the forces of a hurricane. Those were the types of responses that people might forget happen. It's easy to forget these things happen when things are good. And it's easy not to remember what a government would have done for you when things were bad. So that's why I want to remind you, I want to keep reminding you that the type of leadership that we saw during the freak storm, during COVID, when we ensured that persons had a little something in their pocket, small business people would get a list saying, taxi drivers, a little something in their pocket to survive. Those are all signs of a caring government, a responsible government, a government that understands their role. Those are all signs of proper leadership. Could you imagine if we had gone through that same experience with the Democratic Labour Party? We would not have survived. We would not have survived. Today we are surviving and thriving as a direct result of the leadership and the decisions made by the Barbados Labour Party and by Mia Motley as our leader. Now if you just fast forward to today, we are now grappling for a number of years now with the effects of climate change. Now you know that the people on the other side made a lot of laughing sport about climate change. But if you live in the Scotland district, or if you live right here in Speightstown where it floods, then you will know that climate change is no laughing matter. Because I've been down here on more than one occasion to deal with flooding. We've seen these type of rains, hard rains, intense rains, rains that we're not accustomed to, that maybe fall for a short period of time. But in that short period of time, you're seeing drops about this big so. And in a quick time, the whole place flood out. We see that right here in Speightstown. We responded to that. In the Scotland district, it's even more acute. Because whenever you get these heavy rains, you may not hear about it on the news. You may not read about it in the paper. But whenever you see those hard, heavy rain episodes, we experience some kind of land slippage in St. Andrew. Sometimes the slippage occurs in the gully, along the river course, and cause no real impact to the people. But sometimes that slippage happens right in persons' backyards. And all across the Scotland district, you have situations where people's farms, all the pig pen and fowl pen sometimes end up in the gully. And when you had that heavy flooding just recently, we had a lot of people all across Barbados, not only in Scotland district, but all across Barbados, who would have lost chickens and pigs and sheep, goats, all types of things to that flooding. These are things that we go through every day. And then they want to make laughing sport at climate change. When these things are real and are impacting people right across Barbados. Then you have your land slippage. Sometimes it's in the yard, but sometimes it's in the house. After almost every heavy rain, every flooding episode we have, I get calls. People telling me my house is cracking. They show you the cracks. They show the land pulling away. They show the step pulling away from the house. The bathroom pulling away from the kitchen. These are things that we see every day. Right across the Scotland district. And then they're going to tell us that climate change is a laughing matter. It is no laughing matter. And that is why government has committed to building with more resilience. I can see the boss is coming. It's good to see how much you love your MP. That's your guy. And that's why this government is building with more resilience, ensuring that infrastructure is upgraded, ensuring that bridges are upgraded. And right here in St. Peter, we've seen efforts to improve the infrastructure right across St. Peter. For here in Speightstown, we've done a number of roads. I was looking at the list before I left today. I realized that we have over 21 roads right here in St. Peter that we're working on, many of which have already been completed. Right here in Speightstown, we have Chapel Street, Garden Alley, Mango Lane, Bavard Road. All these are roads down here in Speightstown that were done under our Mill and Pave program. Also on Highway 2A going up Black Bess, we've also done roads in that area as well. In the ground, we've done roads. Right across St. Peter, we are working on repairing the infrastructure. Now, I know that there's still some areas in the St. Peter constituency that needs repairing. I know there's still some areas that are stressed, but we are working towards those areas. We're working towards fixing those areas as well. So I want you to rest assured that this government is not only going to fix the roads that need fixing, but they're going to fix them properly. Now, with our Mill and Pave program, we were about swiftness, about quickness. We wanted to build it quickly. But in some of our more stressed areas, we are about building them properly. So if you find that it's taking a little longer, it's because we are building it properly. So don't take climate change for a joke. We have not taken it for a joke. We have been improving drainage, especially in areas where that's prone to flooding, like down here in Speightstown. And we are building more resilience into bridges like Farm Road, where the possibility that the bridge may collapse is real because of heavy rains. Now, as I wrap up, I want to speak quickly again as to why it is important to vote for true and tested leadership. Now, I know there's a person walking about St. Peter talking about representation. And you know, you can say what you like about your MP. One thing I can tell you is that he's an honest man. One thing I can tell you that he's not a corrupt man. He has clean hands. I'm not sure if I can say the same for the others on the other side. And he's part of a team that is a team for the times. But I suit him. We no go peep. Huh? No go peep, man. Huh? He got to know what he's going up against. A proper man. A man that loves his people. Now I'm telling you, he loves his people. Because he came to me directly and told me, listen, you need to fix the problems down here. You need to fix those roads. Need to fix the bus service. Talk what you like. No go peep, man. Don't stop. Leadership is important. Leadership, being part of the right team is important. So my people, don't pay much mind. Don't worry about him. Because I know that Colin has him covered. That's the man there. So as I close, because I realize that you're excited, let me just remind you to stay the course. On February 11th, we can go and vote. Vote Colin Jordan. Vote for clean hands. Vote Mayor Motley. Vote for strong leadership that has been tested at home and abroad. Vote the Barbados Labour Party. Vote Colin Jordan. Good night. And God bless. When to keep peeping. That's all we can do. It's gonna be worse, man.
Peeping. Everybody peeping. Them like too much